That's great.
I don't know that we have a plan. Are you going to do your
I'll do
your
my slides.
Your slide thing first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me hop on.
Then I thought we could go around the room and let people just say a few words about where they are and how they got there.
Do you want to start with that? That's fine with me.
Either one.
Let's go ahead and start with the slides. I've already kind of gotten there and I don't know how to get out of there.
Okay.
All right. Are you able to see my welcome to class sign?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to get, there we go. So we're going to start off with a little bit of trivia tonight. Going back to 1970. Tonight's agenda is short, sweet. We don't want to take up your catch-up time. So we have 4 questions, and we want you to put your answers in the chat, or you can just go ahead and shout them out. Here we go. Question number 1. Name these classmates.
Engelhardt, Adler,
John
Adler.
John Adler.
There's Flag. Engelhardt.
Justin and Engelhardt.
And John Adler.
Justin, Flag.
Byron Gustin.
Flag.
Johnny
Justin.
Jerome Flag.
You got it.
Flag,
John
yeah.
Flag, yeah.
Nice job. Dr. Hunter got the last one. Good job. What reunion year was this photo taken?
2010. 5.
19.
2015.
Yeah, the last one.
And the third question, class of 1970, name these 3 classmates, starting with the top.
That's Waxman.
Yeah, Waxman.
Really?
Bob Garver.
Bob Garver and Tom Rosenberger.
Tom Rosenberg.
Nice
Jesus.
job. And question number 4, name the top song of 1970.
No idea.
It happens to be my favorite song. I was only 10 years old. You ready?
Bridge over trouble.
Oh, Simon and Garfunkel. Huh.
Yep. And final, the bonus question. When you were really hungry or just needed someone to talk to, where did you go?
Ivadine.
Ivadine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Byline Chili.
There you go.
Lakewood, the Lakewood Bar. Lakewood, yeah, yeah,
Monty
exactly.
McNeely.
I love it. I love it.
Eat pizza and 10-cent beer. Yeah, the Lakewood Bar.
And let me unshare my screen if I can so that you all can see one another a little bit better. Oh, I did that wrong. Stop share. There we go. What we'd love to do at this point is to, we call this the red envelope session, and just take some time to hear from all of you. Kind of everybody has a chance to catch one another up. So latest career updates, retirement updates, family updates, and, you know, anything you want to share. I've got this red envelope, and that's your warning. When we get to about 2 or 3 minutes per person, I will wave that in front of the screen, and you'll know to wrap it up, and we'll move to the next person. Is that good?
Yeah.
Dr. Gustin, do you want to start?
Sure. And then you wanted, I don't know, does everybody have the same sequence? Can you tell us that, Jeff? In other words, can we just go from box to box?
We can. I also have a in front of me a cheat sheet, and I can just call people out.
All right, you can do it that way.
Okay, thank you.
I'm retired. I was a cardiologist for a long time. I had fun doing it. I kept the same wife, and I have two kids. My daughter is a dermatologist, and she married a general internist, and she's got 2 kids. And my son
3 years.
worked for Google. You'd think I'd know something about computers, but it doesn't apparently rub off that way. And he has a wife and 2 little girls. They're lovely. They live in California, of course. After I retired, I spent 8 years helping teach science classes to the inner city kids. And then I made the biggest mistake of my retirement. I took up golf. And that's been well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? And that's certainly been a challenge for me. That's enough. You don't want to hear any more from me. Go ahead.
All right. I don't know if we have Washington State on, but Dr. John, I do see you now. There you go.
Got two of us. And Ray, I'm going to invite myself down to your house so we can.
Yeah, I know. You got to come down, John.
Yeah, just let me
Only
know.
about 45
I
miles
know.
apart.
About an hour or so. Yeah, I live in the north end of Puget Sound, close to the Whidbey Island Naval Air Station. And I did my internship in Denver and ran across a guy who had been a Navy flight surgeon. And, you know, being a farm kid from Ohio, I had no idea what they did, but I always loved airplanes. And so I ended up becoming a Navy flight surgeon. And I was sent out here to Whidbey Island. I met my wife at sick call one day. She was a Navy widow, and she had two little kids. So we got married after a year or so, and adopted the kids and did a radiology residency at the Mason Clinic in Seattle. And I had been accepted at Cincinnati with Ben Felsen, but when I got that draft notice and was told when I had to go, I had to tell them that I couldn't come. And I remember Myron Moskowitz was really upset at me because, you know, they had their roster all set. And I felt bad, and after I'd been out here for a couple of years, I thought I couldn't go back to Cincinnati. And it was so smoggy in Denver that I decided just to stay out here in the Northwest. So, and it turned out after my training, there was a job opening here. So two small hospitals, about 45 minutes apart. And we had to literally start all the services, nuclear medicine, mammography, ultrasound, CAT scan, and MRI. And the hospital bought our practice probably 15 years ago. And I retired at that time. And the only thing I've done since then medically, I read ultrasounds for a couple of pro-life outfits called Pregnancy Choices. So probably a couple thousand. It wasn't a onerous task at all, but so there were a couple thousand ultrasounds that I read and hopefully saved quite a few lives that way. So, and I bought part of the family farm in Ohio when it came up. So I've got 63 acres of farmland back there and some woods. And out here I've got about 75 acres of woods, and I'm a stewardship forester, learned how to take care of the woods. And I really enjoy getting out in the woods with these big trees. And some of what I've got, it's right adjacent to the virgin forest back up in the Cascades. And we've got a hydroelectric system on one of the parcels. And so just having a lot of fun, read a lot, become a big Civil War buff and a World War II buff and Indian War buff. Okay, enough.
You're doing great. And by the way, I want to come out and visit you. We have two sons just south of you in Port Townsend.
Oh, you do?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's a nice ferry ride.
It is. Let's move to, I'm doing this alphabetically. Is Victor Benson on? No?
Yeah, he's there.
Here I am.
Okay, good.
So I am in California, where I, right after med school, I did my internship at Harbor UCLA, which is now famous for having operated on Tiger Woods when he mangled his foot and leg, going down the hill, which is in my neighborhood, basically. So Palos Verdes has become actually internationally mentioned because of, I had no idea Tiger Woods was so famous. Anyway, the internship there was good. That's Harbor UCLA is a level 1 trauma hospital and county hospital. And I did a rotating internship there because I didn't know what I wanted to specialize in. And after my rotating internship, I still didn't know what I wanted to specialize in. And so I went to Kaiser Permanente and worked as a general doc in their walk-in clinic, and realized doing that what I liked was the variety of patient content. And so I ended up at Kaiser actually founding the Department of Family Medicine. Their family medicine residencies starting back in those days. And I was its founding chief, and over the years was recruited back to being chief again several times. I actually, the first time I was chief, I resigned early before my term was up because I became interested in lipids. And I formed a lipid clinic at Kaiser, and I and a colleague from the San Diego Kaiser founded a computerized population management lipid clinic, which literally with a few paramedical people was able to manage thousands of patients' lipids by themselves, basically. We had algorithms that said if your lab is this and your med is that, this is what you do next. So I actually ended up, oh, okay, I'm already done. Good. I was just going to say one more thing just at the end, is that I became the lipid specialist for all of Southern California, Kaiser Permanente. And when I retired from there, because they have a mandatory retirement age, believe it or not, of 65, and there's a long story involved with that, I worked for Merck Pharmaceuticals for 7 years as a medical director until they changed what they wanted me to do. I didn't sign up for it, so I retired again, this time successfully.
Excellent. Next up is Dr. Cardwell.
Yeah, that'd be me. You everybody hear me now? Guess I'm
Yep.
on. I'm not too good at this stuff. But anyway, I didn't realize it until fairly recently that I was the only member of our class that did a whole pediatric residency at Children's, 3 years. And then I was lucky because I went in the Navy and I got in the Berry plan. So instead of being just a pediatrician, I went in as a specialist pediatrician. So I got a higher rank, got more pay, is a good thing. And also I got sent to Seattle. I'm from Seattle. So I didn't exactly see the world, but I was lucky there because I replaced Mark McGovern from Cincinnati. And the chief officer there at Seattle liked Mark, and he wanted to get another Cincinnati guy. So that was me. I think he's been sorry ever since, but I got that. So that's how I got there. And then I stayed in Seattle. I practiced for about, I think, 37 years at Edmonds, that's just north, and Mill Creek, which is a little north of that. We had 2 offices, about 5 doctors. And I think it was 37 years there. I retired in 2012, but I'm retired from that. But I have an agenda every day. Like since the COVID thing, one of my projects is family history, and I've done a genealogy thing. I actually started that in 1980, but I didn't work on it exactly every day in the old days. But I've worked on it a lot now, and a lot of our family came it's just people that lived in the United States or what became the United States. So it goes back to Jamestown, really. And the whole thing is about 3,000 pages long, by the way. So it's on flash drives. I have it for my family. That's one of my projects to do before I died, but I think I got that done. I also work with a community where I grew up. I grew up in a very small farming community in southeastern Washington, and I helped their medical system, I helped their schools, and I helped their economic development. And we made some big gains in all areas. But, I hope we all get together sometimes in person. I really miss not having our 50th. I was bummed out. I was all ready to go to Cincinnati last year, and then the COVID thing came up. So I hope we will sometime down the future. if we have to plan it ourselves, to try to get together so we see each other again. Because I really miss all you guys, and I really appreciate having the opportunity to see you all again today. So that's me. That's my story.
That's a great
Stay
story.
tuned. Stay tuned. I'm pretty sure we're going to get together physically November 5th and 6th.
All right.
That's not
Yay.
confirmed yet, but keep watching.
Lovely.
Did you check to see if there's a University of Washington home football game that weekend?
Let's move to Dr. Kavanaugh, please.
I'm in Syracuse, New York. In 1968, I did an externship with Dr. Schumrick. So it was really interesting to see Toby, his son, host the wine tasting. That was really fascinating. And he was affectionately known as Boom Boom Schumrick. Do you guys remember that?
Yep.
There's a reason for that. And we won't go into that right now, but he lived up to his name. So I'm in Syracuse, New York. I married this lovely lady behind me while in medical school, Maryland, in 1969. She's been my girlfriend ever since. After medical school, I went in the Air Force, then did a pediatric residency, then started a ambulatory pediatric clinic in Florida, in St. Petersburg. And then in 1981, I moved up to Syracuse and started the adolescent medicine program. And I did that until 8 years ago when I retired, or became semi-retired, and was still very active in the American Academy of Pediatrics. Often saw Chuck Wibbelsman at meetings. Always look forward to that every year. And I'm now Professor Emeritus at SUNY Upstate Medical University in Syracuse, and still very active teaching. We just Zoomed the medical students this afternoon for a conference, and we kind of actually talked about the difference between 50 years ago and now in medical student training, and it's a whole new world out there right now, as you guys know.
Wonderful. Thank you. Dr. Flegg.
Hi, everyone. This is really a great venue to meet. And I was, like many of you, disappointed that last year's in-person meeting didn't transpire, but I think this is a tremendous idea. So congratulations to Byron and anyone else who was involved in developing that. After graduating from med school, I did an internship, combined internship at Hopkins and Baltimore City Hospital in internal medicine, then did 2 years of internal medicine at Washington U at St. Louis, my cardiology fellowship also at WashU. I saw an interesting notice on the bulletin board as I was looking to what to do after my fellowship, talked about the National Institute on Aging needed a cardiologist. So I ended up spending almost 25 years at the National Institute on Aging, studying the effect of age on the cardiovascular system, and really had a good time. I started getting more of an appetite for a large clinical trial. I like to tell people I got tired of aging, so I moved down to the Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute in 2002, and I'm still there. Do a lot of work with large-scale clinical trials. We're very active in the looking at agents in the COVID epidemic to try to reduce morbidity and mortality, which has been kind of an interesting challenge, and certainly not something that I initially thought I would get involved with. And so I'm keeping busy, basically working pretty much full time, although we've been working remotely. Our office has actually been closed for the last year, so I do all my work remotely, and getting very used to Zoom calls. So this is my fourth call today, and probably will have several tomorrow as well. But my spare time, I run a Dixieland swing band, and it kind of keeps me grounded, gives me something besides medicine, and enjoy bicycling. My wife of 43 years is a radiologist. She's working still part-time, 20 hours a week. We have 4 children, 2 of them are married, 5 grandchildren. And basically, I'm thankful to be able to be still in good health and able to keep working for a while.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's move over to Dr. Garver.
Hi, it's Bob Garver. I've been retired from practicing psychiatry for over 4 years now. I had my whole career here in Boston. I live in the middle of downtown Boston, where until COVID, I was busy doing a lot of the things that are available here to do. I miss seeing my patients. I don't miss all the rest of what practice became. I've been with my life partner, Valerie, for 16 years now. A little over 2 years ago, I lost my stepdaughter at the age of 44 to metastatic ovarian cancer. I am left with her son, my grandson, who's now 9, who's being well taken care of. And Valerie's daughter and her family have all moved to this area. So I have 4 grandsons now that I very much enjoy being with. Look forward to traveling again, which we get a great deal of when we're able to travel again. So basically things are going pretty well for me. I miss the patients. I miss doing some of the teaching I did, but I'm quite happy with the decision I made. It was time for me to stop doing all of that.
That sounds like a smart move.
Yeah, it's all the other baloney. If I could still be seeing the patients, I would be, but it just was, all the rest of it got to be too much.
Wow. Understood.
I'm sure a lot of you understand it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Dr. Howerton.
Hello, everybody. I am somewhat of an anomaly in this class in that I believe, and I may be wrong here, but when we were in Cincinnati, I was the only person in the class who was from south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Well, I did my internship at Emory.
No. At the time, I'm sorry. At the time, that's it. You don't qualify for that. Now there are probably a bunch of snowbirds now. They're in Florida or the Hilton Head or something like that. But the only that time, I think I was the only person south of the Mason-Dixon line, and after applying to other schools and deciding where I was going to go, I went up to Cincinnati, and I don't know whether you being from y'all been Yankees, I don't know whether y'all ever driven into Cincinnati from the interstate that goes into Cincinnati. I think it's 71 or 75, but anyway. And it was in bad weather, snow, and I drove over it going up there, and I thought, I'm going to spend 4 years here. But thank God I made an irrational decision and I decided to do it. It was the best 4 years of my life. I love Cincinnati. It was a really great place. I've been practicing in Nashville all my life, though I had, for family reasons, I had to come back to Nashville. So my associates were apparently getting tired of tired of me saying what a great place Cincinnati was and what a great place to practice medicine was and everything. And we were thinking about opening a clinic or staffing a clinic about 30 miles north of Nashville. And we were talking about it in a class and they said, well, Hank, what do you think about it? And I said, well, yeah, I think it'd be great. Yes, we thought it's 30 miles closer to Cincinnati. So, so that's where we were. But anyway, I've been married to the same wonderful woman for 51 years, practiced the same place for 44 years, and at 2 places, practiced in Nashville for 44 years. The last 10 years were spent at Vanderbilt and the VA at Vanderbilt teaching our residents in the radiology residents in body imaging mainly. So anyway, that's pretty much my story. I've got 2 wonderful children, 2 great grandchildren who live very close to us. I'm very grateful for all the opportunities I've had. I've loved practicing radiology for 44 years, and I hope we can all get together and see each other. I do have some stories about some of the cameos I see online, but this is not the place to go into them. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Howerton.
I'd like to say one thing.
Please.
Am I on?
Yes, you're on. Go ahead,
Okay,
Dr. Cardwell.
I don't know how this works, but a lot of us went to Hank's wedding in Nashville. We had a great time.
Yes, I was
there.
going to say, Ray, John.
Yeah, good to see you,
Webby.
Hank. Yeah.
And Webby came to my daughter's wedding 4 years ago. So
Yeah.
That's great. Dr. Bill Hunter, let's hear from you.
Okay, Shirley and I have been married for 53 years. Or wait, I'm not. Am I on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Shirley and I have been married for 53 years. We live in southeastern Virginia near Williamsburg and Yorktown. And we got married in '68, and she made life in medical school a lot better. And after medical school, we went to Chicago, where I did my internal medicine residency. And after 2 years, I was drafted. I was one of the last 5 physicians drafted in the United States. And I was stationed in a massive Army induction center in Chicago, about 10 minutes from my teaching hospital. And we, as the Army would have it, we worked 4 half days a week. So with virtually no contact with real medicine. And so I started moonlighting in an emergency room a lot and just fell in love with emergency medicine, and went back, finished up my last year of internal medicine, and then decided to go into emergency medicine. And we moved to our present home in 1975. And it was very interesting being part of an emerging specialty that became a primary specialty. And we're fortunate to live very close to our 4 children and 10 grandchildren. That's where we spend most of our time. But I went to semi-retirement in 2010, and then permanent retirement, 2000, and then permanent retirement in 2010. And I really loved emergency medicine. It was a great specialty to be part of. So we've had a very good life, and really great to see all of you. And I hope to see you in November too.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you so much. Dr. Kozol, I hope I didn't pronounce it too badly.
You pronounced it exactly right. This is really a treat. I'm quite certain I haven't talked to any of you since I left Cincinnati. But some of you may remember that I was, I believe, the only one in our class that had an interest in the specialty of preventive medicine. And when I left Cincinnati, I had every intention of pursuing an international health career, do a rotating internship, and do a master's in public health, and then go overseas and never look back. But I wound up in Oklahoma and then New Mexico through the Indian Health Service. And I really became quite attached to New Mexico in 1972 when I arrived. I broke from New Mexico for only a year to do the MPH, but then finished a general preventive medicine residency, grandfathered in family practice, and then came to a small town by the name of Cuba to begin a rural health system that had some demonstration funding at the time. And Cuba grew on me. I met my wife in Cuba. I was still going to head to an overseas career for about 4 or 5 years, but the waylay in New Mexico lasted a long time. My wife and I have no children, but we have 2 careers. She is a researcher still full-time at the University of New Mexico, runs a prevention research center there. And so we have lived between Cuba and Albuquerque for all these years. So we have homes in both places. I've had a practice in Cuba of varying kinds over the last, what is it now, 40, I think close to 47 years. After the 10 years of being director and executive director of that rural health system, I practiced privately. I then went into a half-time practice and semi-retirement about 13 years ago. Went back to a community health center, which was the residual of my program there. And just 3 months ago, I became very part-time, just doing some fill-in work and seeing a few regular patients every other week. So I've had a lot of time the last 10 to 15 years. I started a project in my community to get people outdoors, walking and hiking on some of our fabulous public lands around Cuba. It's called Step into Cuba, and I love working with that. Our place in Cuba is surrounded by the Santa Fe National Forest, and so I can relate to whichever one of you lived in Washington State and has woodlands, because I spend a lot of my free time out in the National Forest next to our place, especially during COVID. I've done some administrative work. I had an administrative position part-time with the State Health Department. I see my time is up, but I'll just mention I was a director of our state's peer review organization for a while, and I am looking forward to a lot of other things I can do with my spare time. So it's nice to see you all. This is a real treat for me.
I love that. Oh, sounds beautiful. Dr. John Morris.
Hi, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky now. I got out of Cincinnati. I did not know what I wanted to do. Did a straight surgery internship. The Berry plan transported me to Korea, which was a disaster medically. I was in flight surgery, but it was a lot of fun. It's where I decided what I wanted to do. So I applied to ENT, did an ENT residency in Texas, in Dallas, and came to Louisville. My wife is from Buffalo and I'm from Cincinnati, and we decided we would settle somewhere in between, which turned out to be Louisville because they needed people. So I was part-time at the university to begin with, part-time private practice, soon became just private practice. And it grew to 16 of us. It was the only way to really survive in Louisville. We have 2 kids, 3 grandkids. One kid is going to be doing a residency here in Kentucky. So he'll be nearby, and the other is in San Antonio. So I retired from the group. Well, I kind of quit work a year ago, but actually retired 2 months ago or 3 months ago with the change of year. Still physically active, like to do this, love to travel, ski, do, well, whatever, to break the monotony. I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm not dead yet and still have energy and thoughts to do something, but it probably won't be working, maybe in medicine, Lord willing, but not to make money and not to have a regular schedule. So here I am in Louisville.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morris. Dr. Peters.
Hey guys, it's good to see all of you, and I also can't wait to get back to Cincinnati and see folks in person. The bio is an internship and residency in general surgery, a fellowship in transplant surgery, 40 years in organ transplantation, ending with the University of Florida, and I'm an emeritus professor now, while I'm retired from clinical work, I'm busy with some public policy and research matters, particularly in organ donation. And through those years, I had 33 years of commissioned time in the Army as a reservist. And John, I also was a flight surgeon in those times, and it was a lot of fun. But I had 3 wartime tours, and the one that was overseas was not fun. But at any rate, through it all, married to a great gal, Ruby, 4 kids, 12 grandkids, all of them in Jacksonville, where we live. And it is really a treat to have them nearby. And that's my bio.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Dr. Raven.
Hi there. Good to see everybody. Can you hear me? Is this on? I'm not high
Yes.
tech. I'm in my office. So I did psychiatric training, child and adult in Cincinnati. I also was in the Berry plan. and got lucky. They sent me to Denver, and I was at Fitzsimmons, which is a teaching hospital, and the pediatric program from the University of Colorado had rotations there. So I was teaching pediatricians, and so when my time in the Army was over, I just moved over to children's and started an inpatient program there and taught residents and fellows and had a good time there. And then went into private practice, have done a few other programs. I'm sitting in my office now because it's just 4 o'clock here, but I've enjoyed work really well. I've really enjoyed psychiatry, and I've had a chance to do a lot of different things. Been married with Marilyn 47 years. She's a psychologist, and she still works part-time. We didn't work together, but now we do in the office here. What else? We've got 2 kids. Our son Gavi is here. He's renovating houses, not a bad thing to do in Denver, actually. And our daughter is a biomedical engineer in California doing pacemakers and for Abbott. So she's got into the medical arena. And we like it out here. It's a lot of fun in Denver, a lot of hiking and biking and fly fishing, which I knew nothing of, We came out here. We're from I'm from New York. I'm from Cincinnati. We didn't do anything. I come out here, we go camping, and we got no equipment, and I see somebody with a camping stove. I'm lighting a fire trying to make coffee, and I say, Marilyn, you got to see this. They got little stoves. You can actually make coffee. From there, I've now had my second VW camper. So I've had a VW camper for like forever, and we've done all kinds of camp. From me and her living in New York City, we've done a lot of camping, and she's camped out. I think those days are over, but I still have the VW that I'm driving. So that's my story, and it's good seeing everyone. Yeah, having grown up in Cincinnati, I really was looking forward to coming back to the city and seeing the city too. But hopefully that'll still be in the cards. Thanks.
Better days are ahead. Dr. Rauschway. I can't hear you, but try that again.
Nope.
Dr. Rauschway, can you speak?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Oh,
Hey, now.
yes.
Okay. It was interesting hearing John Boehm talk about his experience applying for radiology residencies with Dr. Felsen, because in my internship, I then was intending to go back to Cincinnati to do my radiology residency, but was given an opportunity to spend 2 years with the Army. After that, I did go to Cincinnati, did 3 years of residency, and having been stationed in the South, decided the warm weather was meant for me. So I settled in Florida, in St. Petersburg, and then listening to Bob Cavanaugh, he may remember that we crossed paths once in St. Petersburg, Florida in the late 70s. It was actually during a 10K road race. I subsequently received my subspecialty in boards in vascular interventional radiology and practiced in St. Petersburg my entire career. Retired now, living on the beach in St. Pete Beach, Florida. Married to Audrey, who some of you may remember from Cincinnati days. After our children were grown, she went back to law school and then specialized in securities law. And so now we're both involved in securities arbitration. So that is the focus of my post-radiology days. 2 children. My oldest son was born in the Christ Hospital. We have 5 grandchildren, and very happily living in the South.
That sounds beautiful. Ugh, I haven't been to Florida in years. But now we're going to head to the other coast. Dr. Wenger out in California.
Hello, good to talk with all of you and hear everyone's story. I grew up in Ohio on a farm, much as John Boehm did, went to Cincinnati, and then married in my senior year of medical school to my wife, Kathy. We're still married, which can save you a lot of money in your life if you manage to have one wife, as several of you have noted. And then looked at internships west of the Mississippi because I knew I didn't want to farm, and I sort of thought I wanted to help explore the West. I interned in Denver, Colorado, straight surgery at Denver General. And then I did my residency back in Iowa, because someone said, if you really want to get involved in academics, you should go there. I knew Tom Rosenberg there, got to talk with him and so forth. And then did a fellowship in Toronto at the Hospital for Sick Children, where I studied children's orthopedics. I got the bug to be involved in academic orthopedic surgery from that experience. I took my first job back in Denver because we loved it so much, but it was very crowded. Too many doctors, not enough to do. And the surgeon walked into the operating room or to the dressing room one day and said, "Dennis, are you really busy?" I said, "No, sort of." He said, "A young surgeon should not be sort of busy." The next day I got a call from Dallas, Texas, the Texas Scottish Rite Hospital, which is a massive children's orthopedic center with huge referral and 200 case waiting list for major surgery. So I spent 7 years in Dallas. And then my wife and I both decided that perhaps we didn't want to live there permanently. We had 3 children by that time, actually 4 just before we left. And her brother lived in San Diego, California. There was a children's hospital here that was looking for someone to be involved in academics and teaching. So I came to Rady Children's Hospital, San Diego, which is part of the UCSD system. As I said, we have 4 children, and 3 of them live here in California. The other lives in Sweden. And we have 6 grandchildren, and I have a variety of hobbies. I've traveled a lot in my work. I've been able to lecture, and I tell people that I'm lucky enough to travel often enough that I would get sick of it and want to go back and just see my patients. And then I would see my patients for about 6 weeks, and then I got sick of them, and then I'd take a trip to Singapore to lecture. So I tried to balance it out pretty well. I retired from clinical practice, actually from surgery 2 years ago. And from seeing patients last July, so about 9 months from now. And now I'm involved in a little bit of teaching, a little bit of research, but mainly gardening. And actually I've learned to enjoy golf because I don't try to get better. I just enjoy the weather, I enjoy the trees. And my friends that I play with who try to improve are all miserable. And I just take a few lessons. It is applied orthopedic biomechanics to rotate around your lumbar spine when you try to hit this little ball. But by not trying to be very good, I've continued to enjoy it. But grandchildren and gardening and still travel and reading are what my hobbies are. And Cincinnati was a fantastic place to go to medical school. An amazing transformation from Ohio. A farm boy goes to Ohio University, then Cincinnati, state-sponsored institutions, and allows you to do whatever you want to in America. And so I'm very happy about it and happy to have time to retire and want to come back to Cincinnati badly because I love to see the city and the culture as well as my friends. As someone said, Cincinnati is the first big town I ever lived in. I went home and told my family, they have a bus system here. You can actually get on a bus and go somewhere. I'm not sure it's true. But in any case, it was a wonderful thing to live in a city that had an opera, a symphony hall, a zoo, and a bus system for a farm boy. So we want to come back to see you all.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And last but not least, and I'm afraid I'm going to butcher this, but Dr. Wiebelsman?
That's right. You got it. Anyway, hi, everybody. When I think about 100 people, we were all together. And I guess I'm the rebel because I kind of went a different path. But after I left in 1970, I went to Mass General Hospital in pediatrics. And many of us, even on the call here, are in pediatrics. Once I was in Boston at Mass General, I thought, I want to go into adolescent medicine. So I ended up in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, at Sunset in Vermont, at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, where the whole world changed for me. And I got very, very involved in adolescent medicine, but also I got involved with Hollywood. So I was at the Golden Globes. I met Dean Martin, did all this stuff, which was a lot of fun. Then I did a year at USC, University of Southern California. And I was interviewed by somebody from Teen Magazine. Her name was Kathy McCoy. And we ended up, I was the Dear Doctor for Teen Magazine. Then I Kathy McCoy and I wrote 4 books for teens and their parents. We actually were on Oprah Winfrey. I did Dr. Ruth, the Today Show. This whole thing opened up, doing all this television, etc. And then after I left Los Angeles, I came to San Francisco and I joined Kaiser Permanente in adolescent medicine. Vic Benson talked about Southern California Kaiser Permanente. That is a partnership. I was in a shareholder, a different type of Permanente medical group, but for adolescents, it was a wonderful way to deliver care because of prepaid health insurance. So kids could come in for confidential care and take care and be taken care of. You didn't have to worry about billing. You could really give the best that you could for adolescents. Then I got involved in the Academy of Pediatrics on the committee for adolescents, and Bob Kavanaugh knows what a great organization the Academy of Pediatrics is, and I'm still involved. I was a speaker circuit. So we go to Maui, Kauai, talking about adolescent medicine. It was lots and lots of fun. But in San Francisco, Kaiser Permanente, the University of California, San Francisco, looking to do research in adolescent medicine. But we had the database. We had 5,000 health plan members. So we were able to actually do a lot of research in STIs and in adolescent preventive health care. And while I was at Kaiser Permanente, we had my own TV show. It was the Pediatric Grand Rounds, and every 2 months we would do an hour closed circuit TV. Actually, I went to Southern California, Kaiser Permanente. So I got really hooked into reading a teleprompter and getting involved in television. So now that I'm retired, I now work at KQED, which is our PBS station here in San Francisco. And now that I am retired, my partner and I, 42 years, we have a home in Palm Beach. And that's been great, except for Mar-a-Lago. We really weren't counting on Trump coming back to Palm Beach, but that's the way it is. But good to see everybody, and I sure would like to come back in November. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Dr. Gustin, you have an amazing class.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
And by the way, the staff that is behind you has been in my house for 2 years. I'm glad it's in your house now.
Well, I'm going to get rid of it as quick as I can. I thought as I listened to these guys talk, we have a lot of people in our class who've done some amazing things. And when I was an intern at Columbia, I figured I knew it was a mistake, number one, that they took me. And number two, when I got up there, I was sure that all these guys would be so smart that I'd just be lost. And what I found was, number one, all these guys from Harvard and Yale and stuff, if they knew how to do, they could tell you about salmon calcitonin, but they didn't know squat about taking care of patients. And believe me, guys from Cincinnati knew how to take care of patients. It was an amazing, amazing thing. Any rate, looking back on our class, it really, as I talked to these people in the last year, some of the things these guys have done is just amazing. I'm so pleased to be a part of it.
Hey, Byron, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's Bob. I've been in Boston all this time.
Do you have a tentative dates for our get together in November?
Tentative is November 5th and 6th, but it's tentative. But if we do it, I'll do what I've done every other time we've gathered, and we'll have the group meeting with the university one night, and the next night we'll all come to my house, and I'll feed you.
We'll stand there too, Byron?
Hmm?
Are everybody staying at your house too?
I had the wrong microphone checked off, and we got that straightened out, and it went smoothly.
Oh, yay. Well, I'll tell you, and I'll wait till everybody gets in because I wanted to just mention the website, which I think you all might find to be a fun for one thing, and a good way to connect with one another. But there's still folks coming in, so I won't make you listen to it twice.
I just want to apologize to Katie and Dolo for sort of subjecting my class. Hopefully, I think they had fun.
I'm sure. I'm sure
You
they,
were all a blast. We love your guys' class.
We're fun, aren't we? You know, our last in-person reunion, they had to kick us out. We closed the place down.
You'll be
that
doing
would
more of
be
that in
true.
November.
Where's the after party, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is this everybody? I don't know, Tyler, is this everybody?
Yeah, everyone's out of breakouts now, so if they haven't left
Okay.
the meeting, they're here.
So I'll just tell you real quickly, tomorrow morning, we're sending an email with the link that you see here on the screen. We've built a website just for the groups from the Cancel Reunion. So it just has a lot of stuff about the college and some tours that you can take and so forth that are virtual. But the unique thing about it is there's a separate section just for your class. So you can find out about your classmates and get updated on them. It'll be some of the information that they sent through their reunion questionnaire responses. Lots and lots of pictures on some of the class years, and just some fun his stuff that was going on, best songs in 1970, for instance, or whatever. But just check it out and look it over at your leisure. And then there is also a portal to connect with one another. It's a private Facebook page, so you can get in touch with your classmates that way and add pictures and keep the conversation going, as it says here. So that's my spiel. Hopefully
Hey,
you'll take
MJ.
a look at it. Yes.
Do you want to just sort of give a little tease about November?
Well, I can. It's tentative.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Provided that all is well. But the dates that we're looking for reunion take two is November 5th and 6th. So if you could pencil that in to your calendars, we will combine with the graduates from the years ending in 1 and 6. So it's going to be a big party. And there'll be a lot of things to celebrate, not only what you missed, but and then that opportunity to be back together. And it's over homecoming weekend, so the campus should be buzzing and it should be a lot of fun.
Great. I want to thank everybody for attending. I hope everybody's class breakout rooms are as much fun as ours. I know we had a blast sort of catching up. We even had somebody come down. We badgered him to come down the street to one of our other alumni houses. So hopefully you all had a great time. Thank you, Mary Jo, and all of the alumni and development staff. Thank you for Toby and Claire for the awesome wine tasting. Please, as you're thinking about future drinking plans, consider to include Tobin James Sellers in your plans. And Mary Jo, any last comments?
No, just, I mean, of course, I'm going to say thank you. I'm so glad that you gave this a try. You got here, you came here and you got to connect with some of your classmates. Thanks for everything you do. And I mean,
thanks
so
to all of the class reps and all of the alumni for sort of tuning in. And this was sort of a leap of faith. And I will say, I think it was fabulous. So guys, have a great night and we will connect soon. Hope to see you soon.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
It was
thanks.
a great night. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
Chris.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, everyone. It was great.